Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sebastian. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we're going to be talking about Ben Simmons. But before we get into that, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, as y'all know, the situation with Ben Simmons and the Brooklyn Nets has just, I think it's been going back. It's gone from bad to worse. And if we think back on Ben Simmons before his arrival to the Brooklyn Nets just over a year ago, a year and a half ago, however you want to look at it, there was a lot of hype surrounding him, but there was also a lot of question marks. At the time, the Brooklyn Nets had a disgruntled star in James Harden who did not want to be a part of that experiment that they were running with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and he made it clear that he wanted to be traded. We then had a disgruntled Philadelphia 76er in Ben Simmons, who was coming off an embarrassing series against the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference semifinals, if I'm not mistaken. And he was trying to find a way to get out of Philadelphia, right? And then ultimately the stars were able to align somehow, and they were able to trade James Harden basically straight up for Ben Simmons and then have them swap teams. And then Ben Simmons became a Brooklyn Net. The moment Ben Simmons became a Brooklyn Net, at that time, the Brooklyn Nets were trying to make a push. I believe it was into the playoffs or something like that. And I think they were down 0-2 against the Boston Celtics in the first round. And a lot of people thought that having Ben Simmons come back, having Ben Simmons bringing him within the fold would definitely help the Brooklyn Nets at the time, who were facing the #1 rated defensive team in the entire NBA. And then we started seeing Ben Simmons training, and we started hearing that he's close. And then miraculously, I think they go down 0-3. And then we hear that Ben Simmons can't play anymore, that he has an injury, which caused a lot of us to ask the question, well, if he has a back injury, how did he pass his physical examination to be traded, right? Which raised even more question marks about him. And that's when things started to get very confusing. We then come into this season, and Ben Simmons just ends up having a very disappointing campaign. This year, he's averaging career lows in points with 6.9 points per game, shooting 56% from the field, 0% from 3, 44% from the free throw line, getting 6 rebounds, 6 assists a game. All of his numbers are down since his rookie season. And it's just been one big disappointment with him. And then this morning, while doing some research, I came across an article here from NBA.com that has some pretty tragic news surrounding Ben Simmons and maybe supporters of his and maybe Brooklyn Nets fans. But before we get into that, this video is brought to you by our sponsor Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T-Wolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards, only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So let me just get into this article here from NBA.com. Basically said, Nets not expecting Ben Simmons to play again this season. The Brooklyn Nets are not expecting guard Ben Simmons to play again this season, though no final decision will be made until the 3-time All-Star meets with a back specialist, Coach Jacques Vaughn said Saturday. Simmons is currently sidelined with what the Nets say is nerve impingement, the condition where tissue or bone compress nerve fibers in his back. Saturday night's game at Miami marked the 16th in a row that Ben Simmons has missed and 32nd absence in 74 games this season. For me as a coach, there's some things I can control and there's some things I can't control, Vaughn said. What I can't control is the impingement. What I can control is getting this group ready to play. And then in all honesty, the realism that he's probably not going to join us for the rest of the year certainly will come once he continues to be looked at by specialists. The Nets announced Friday that Simmons will continue to be sidelined while we determine the best long-term course of treatment. What this means still isn't fully clear, and the Nets won't know until Simmons is further examined. We're going to lean into the specialist and the consultation, and I think those answers will come from the specialist. Vaughn said Simmons is a 3-time All-Star who didn't play at all last season, first citing mental health issues and then a back injury. He started last season with the Philadelphia 76ers. Then he was sent to the Brooklyn Nets in a trade that brought James Harden to the 76ers. This is bad news, right? These last 2 years have really not worked in Ben Simmons' favor. And there's a point that I want to go back to quickly here. If y'all remember, when Ben Simmons was basically stinking up the joint in Philly, when the team tried to reach out to him to get him to play, then it was that blow up between Doc Rivers and Rich Paul, where I think Doc Rivers went to Rich Paul's house or vice versa, and he basically said to him he signed the effing contract, right, where Ben Simmons refused to play. I said that a lot of the advice that they were giving Ben Simmons was not good. I felt like it was actually hurting his public image. And as a matter of fact, that's exactly what happened. Then he ultimately, as I said before, got traded to the Nets. Now just to find out that Ben Simmons and Clutch Ports have parted ways. So after all of those dealings, after all of that consultation that he had, ultimately these two groups decided to go their own separate ways. In the case of Ben Simmons, man, I think the only thing that can redeem Ben Simmons is not excuses, it's production. You see, because one can say, well, he's been injured, right? And he is, most likely. I have a neck injury right now, and it's no joke, right? It's something that has to do with nerves and all. It's extremely, extremely, extremely painful. But that doesn't really mitigate his lack of aggressiveness when he does play, when he is available to play. When you look at Ben Simmons play basketball, he doesn't seem aggressive whatsoever. He doesn't look at the basket. He doesn't look to attack the basket. And some people have speculated that his biggest fear is being fouled, being put at the free throw line. And that was exhibited clearly in that game. I think it was that Game 7 against the Atlanta Hawks where he had an open layup or dunk and he just passed it off. He was right under the basket. No one was in front of him because he was afraid of being fouled. If you look at Ben Simmons' free throw shooting percentage this year, shooting 44%. So obviously he has no reason to be confident in his free throw shooting ability when he's only shooting 44% as a forward. And that's the lowest he shot in his NBA career. That's about a 20-point percentage drop off just from last season. That means that this is beyond basketball, because I don't know how your mechanics can just go awry all of a sudden. Now, we've seen some players over time, their free throw shooting percentage go down, like Anthony Davis. But at one point, these guys are able to kind of get it back. But in the case of Ben Simmons, he hasn't been in the NBA for 15 years, 10 years, or whatever it is. To me, I think the only thing that can redeem Ben Simmons is him actually playing basketball, right, and playing at a high level and getting back to his all-star form. I think the sentiment out there surrounding him is also that people feel like Ben Simmons always has an excuse, right? He's always making an excuse. It's always this, is always that, is always this, is always that. And at a certain point, people get tired and they're like, okay, you know what? I understand you feel all of these different ways, but just go out there and ball, right? Just go out there and ball. And that's the best way to redeem your public image. But these are my thoughts. So what I want to know from you guys is, number one, what do you think about this report? Number two, if he doesn't return this season, how do you see Ben Simmons' future in the NBA playing out moving forward? Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comments. We catch you on the next show.